So the last 2 months have been kind of chaotic for me because I found out that that I failed one class, so I had to take a forced gap year. The university is delayed. And the last probably 6 months to 1 year, I've been focusing on, or I've been trying to get my discipline back, because I'm not one of these people who slack off or anything, especially not the last 2 years, but something's been missing, and I've honestly been struggling so hard to wake up early. By early, I'm talking about the usual time that I used to wake up 5, maybe 4 o'clock. Some of you might not believe it because it sounds very extreme. And to be honest, I wasn't able to figure out what I was missing because I was listening to podcasts or whatever these people told me to do, but they never spoke to me, because even though I wanted to implement them, I was not connected with myself. I was always active. I was always doing something, whether I was spending time with the family, whether I was trying to read this and that, but I was never purpose driven because I just couldn't get my mind to motivate itself or focus. So until a very short period of time, I was just not connected with myself at all. And obviously, once you're not self-aware, or once you're not fully aware of the things that are going on in your life, and I couldn't even feel as emotional. So the moment I found out I failed school, I felt like shit for about 2 days. But the fact that I wasn't self-aware made my mind connect to something else. My focus was lost already. I mean, I knew I failed, but the fact that I was so distracted with everything else distracted me from my focus. And I'm in no position to teach how to make a business, teach how to have 5+ years of focus, but I'm just documenting with you in case you can relate to this. My focus was lost, and I could just not find the cure to my problem and my lack of focus or just discipline. The reason was for me looking out for things that didn't really matter, whether it was social media, whether it was me keeping myself distracted with just the gym, even if it was healthy things. Although most of the times it was social media, I was not self-reflecting enough to understand my actions and to understand what position I was at. So I understood that what I needed to do was just take some time in silence, just thinking. Not thinking about what life is and what I'm going to do tomorrow, what I'm going to do this. I just needed some time by myself and just to visualize where I am at, just to understand what current place I'm holding at in this life. And honestly, since I've had my dreams of, becoming successful, building my own independence, and quite frankly, money has been a huge goal for me the last 2 years as well. I never really had the time or just the energy to kind of think back and understand that things might not go my way, because in my own head I was the disciplined guy who was doing the things. So I thought, okay, success is deserved. I've already earned it, so it's just a matter of time till I get my money. And the fact that I failed school was a reality check for me. But like I said, I wasn't even in a position where I could focus on the reality check and what had actually happened to me. So what I'm telling to you is, if you are in a position where you have your own wishes or something that you want to work for, but something is just keeping you up and you're just like, you just can't focus, or you just don't have the motivation or anything that you want to look for, or you kind of feel like there's a fog in your mind where although you see everything, you don't fully visualize it for yourself. You need a switch. If that's the way you feel, because that's how quite frankly, that's what I needed, and I didn't even know that. I thought it was just a matter of time or whatever. But I realized that life is not as guaranteed as it might be. This is the moment. There's a quote. It sounds very cliche, but men have 2 lives. And the second one starts when they realize that they only have one. I hope I phrased it correctly. Probably not, but so I realized that things don't actually go my way unless if I make them. And obviously that's something very obvious and the person listening to this knows, etc., etc. But the moment you realize that you're actually the person who you have to depend on, I mean, you have parents and everything, but they're not going to support you forever. I mean, you might think that, but basically, if you want the fulfillment, if you're lacking something that's gonna keep you up, that's gonna keep you motivated and driven, or just the discipline that you need, because my brain was quite rotting for 6 months, a year, like I said. What you need to do is just take some time, and I know this feels disgusting and boring and whatever, because it felt like that for me, which is the reason I avoided that. Just sit down. Even if you think it's not gonna work, just take a pen, paper, set a timer for 30 minutes. Most of you aren't gonna do that, and just write. And I don't want you to write about what you're thinking right now. I want you to write about the current position you're at. And I don't want you to be like, well, I'm here, so I need to do that. Well, I'm really behind, and I'm slacking off this and this. Yes, that's fine. But you have to write it in a way where you connect with the paper, where you establish this connection with yourself again. And the reason I was so distracted is because I was so focused on external things, like social media, and I wasn't even looking at much, just for an hour maybe. Just my parents, keep myself busy with that, keep myself busy with my girlfriend, this and this and this and this. And I'm not saying don't spend time with these, I'm not telling you to avoid these things. But my problem was I used these things to disconnect myself so much. Even if it was healthy things, that I lost touch with my actual purpose, because quite frankly, it feels easier to, instead of doing the work, instead of waking up early and pushing yourself to exhaustion, it's much easier to focus on something else and kind of keep your purpose in the background. So like I said, take that piece of paper and literally just think. You don't even have to write much, just think about your own situation. Just think about the position you're at, and just think about who you are, what's going on, and why you've been slacking off. And I don't want you to just cognitively think, I want you to connect with yourself while you think. This is what I needed to do. And although I've been kind of thinking, and there were many times where I was silently just thinking in my room, just analyzing myself. But today, like the last 2 days, were the actual times when I took that time off to genuinely think to myself, dude, I'm failing. And what I'm doing is clearly not working. I mean, I failed school, so I had to take the year again. And people who are much dumber than me, and I'm not trying to sound arrogant and like I'm much better or whatever, but there were people I was one of the only people who failed. And I am not someone who's, I'm putting myself in a vulnerable position here, but I just thought to myself, I was there. I mean, I was active. So what did I miss? I was always trying. I was always trying to do this, put this effort in, whatever. I was just not in a position where I was visualizing where I'm at or actually understood the things that I had to do. So my focus was gone. Well, maybe my focus was there to study for an hour or two, but my internal focus, my internal purpose, which drives my focus, was gone. Once that inner layer fades and your motivation is gone and you don't even understand your purpose, this is the point where you have to take a step back or two, just self-reflect. I'm nowhere near where I want to be, and I was lacking in terms of motivation, drive, anything I did, doing the work. I'm not successful in the financial position where I want to be at all. I had a couple of things going for me. I started dropshipping 2 years ago, failed. I started SMMA, social media marketing. No luck with that. I just tried reselling again. I was in a loss. I lost 200, 300 euros. But now I realized that I have to take a step back and just internalize what I'm going through. So if you're one of the people who are struggling with something similar and you just don't know what you're missing, but you understand that you just can't get started, or you just can't do what you're supposed to, it's just because you lack knowledge. You don't understand how intense or serious the situation is, because if you knew that it's a must, you wouldn't be avoiding it like that. So I hope that video could help you guys. This was just a video to self-reflect. This, rather than giving advice, this was more like me communicating with you guys what's helping for me, because quite frankly most people go through the same thing. For me it's maybe more or less extreme than you, but yeah, always stay in touch with who you actually are. And even though most people probably think they are watching this video, there's a good chance it's impacting you. Take care, guys. Bye.